Hello, this is your professor, Carrie Bullock, and today I'm going to go over our annotated bibliography progression. And this will be a culminating assignment for your LRNR class. It's really our only formal writing assignment that requires specific word count, whole sentences, and punctuation, along with applying a lot of the skills that you've learned so far, which include accessing and downloading and exploring topical databases and internet research, locating research pertinent to a topic, exploring gaps in your knowledge, and then taking a deeper dive into reading the research and understanding and recognizing important elements, including the introduction, some of the methodologies that are used, recognizing what discipline it's from, the conclusion and the findings. So what the annotated bibliography does is it tests those and pushes you to write about those. And there's three main elements that we're going to look at. So first, to find out more about how this ties into our class or our SLOs, be sure to read the purpose of the annotated bibliography. So basically what we're doing is, well, to understand what a annotated bibliography is, it's a literature review. And what we're looking for are 6 sources that are there to demonstrate the variety of information that you can find on your topic. You cannot use sources that you've already used before. So you will need some time to do this assignment. This is not one that you can do on Sunday night. And I mean, you might be able to spend all day Sunday, but you'll want to allow yourself time to edit, to think about, to critically engage the different resources, because you're going to need two scholarly journals, and one of them must be peer-reviewed. You're going to need a book or an electronic book, an ebook. You're going to need a periodical journal, magazine, and you'll need a news source. And then you'll also need a government or nonprofit site. So these are the parameters of the annotated bibliography. So as you can see, it's quite an array of source types. So if you need to review some of those source types, you can find that in the Bernard text. And Bernard et al., the SUNY text, does a really good job of continually pointing out the different elements within the source types. So make sure that you refer to that text if you have any confusion about what one of those source types looks like. So when we're doing an annotated bibliography, it's between, well, the citation itself needs to be properly formatted, and we're using MLA format. So the annotation, or excuse me, the citation will sit as the header, and then the body of the annotation is where you actually describe what that article is about. So these are the 3 elements, the core elements of the annotation itself. So 1, you're going to provide a summary or description of the source. So the source itself, is it from a government website, and is it, so you need to identify, which one it is first and foremost. Is it a book that you found from the library database, or was it a reference book that you found sitting on your shelf at home, Encyclopedia Britannica? You need to identify the source. But so a summary, so you need to give a quick insight into the main points of the article. So this can be between 1 and 3 sentences, but it needs to be brief. And sometimes being brief is hard. So you need to edit yourself. Second, evaluate and analyze the study. So what were the findings and why are they useful? You'll need to provide a little more insight into how that applies to your research statement. So we'll talk about the research statement in just one moment. But you'll use what methodologies were used, who were the groups that they studied, who was the audience that the article was written for. And you can also apply those 5 W's. So who did the study or was studied? When was it done? Over what period of time? The article, what region was it set in? What issues were addressed? Why was it written? What issues were addressed? Again, the methodology, and then the results or conclusions. So if you find that you're trying to analyze something that is a little less formal, maybe like a book chapter or a magazine article or a newspaper, you'll need to think of how you can adapt these 5 W's and what they mean when you're looking at methodology and you're thinking about a newspaper article. Well, they're using journalism. So are they providing an interview, or excuse me, are they interviewing bystanders? Did they interview the president of that company? Did they gather some form of evidence from a data release and do an analysis of that data? Okay, so these are things that we'll be looking at over the next few weeks as we move into this assignment. And finally, the reflection. And the reflection is why you chose the article, and is it helpful? And how does it relate to your theme or your research statement? I'm also including some transitional suggestions. So this article will be useful for my research because this article assisted me in understanding the blank. The important part of this assignment is that you're writing in whole sentences, that you're providing an academic through the academic lens, and that your audience, you're writing for as the prompt will be an argumentative piece. So you're looking for those pro cons, that critical thinking, and the prompt will be shown on the Canvas page. However, I do want to return to our research statement. So for our assignment this week, you'll be submitting a research statement, and this can be as rough or as fleshed out as you'd like. It can be a summary of your mind map concepts and some of the issues that you liked best and you want to explore more. And think of this week's assignment as more of a conversation between you and me privately, and stating, all right, well, here's my topic that I've been interested in, and here are the questions that I think I want to propose or answer. And from there, I'm going to add my commentary and make suggestions that you maybe go in a certain direction, and that will this will prove most helpful for an argumentative assignment. The point of this assignment is, as I said, it's summative. So college level class, we need to make sure that you're using proper punctuation. I also need to make sure that you're following those MLA formatting guidelines, including hanging indents, fonts, spacing, all that good stuff. I also want to show you some examples. So I built this example. This is actually the Purdue OWL MLA Annotated Bibliography example. And I copy and pasted it in this section, but I did include a new example right here. So generally speaking, this is what our annotated bibliography is going to look like, one of them. In this case, you'll see the spacing. The citation is a book. It's pretty short, so it didn't really get to apply that hanging indent. But here we have, it's all double spaced. There's another space in between. And there's also this important indentation right here. I'll show you how I did that. I'm going to put that in there in a minute. So what I have here is the naming. So I want to make sure that I'm properly including all of the elements for an MLA paper. And I'm going to go ahead and type my name back in there. So I'm the student. I'm going to do the title of the class, LRNR 30, section 6270. I'm going to do the professor's name. And then I'm also going to do the date, which is kind of a funny first, it's the day, the month, and the year. All right. So as I mentioned last class, this is what you should be including in every paper, in every college class from here on out. These are basic identifying strategies, and it's not fair for your professor to guess who's writing what. So we need to be able to look up and say, oh, this is Yadira, or oh, this is Elvis writing this, or oh, this is Morea writing this. So get used to labeling your work, and it's a very simple, it'll feel, you won't even have to think about it once you started doing it. I'm also going to give this a title. Just going to be really basic. It doesn't need to be really an inventive title. It just needs to identify what I'm looking at here. Okay. Now it's time to dive right in. This is the citation right here. So let's take a look at this one. And I'm going to do a couple of formatting tricks real quick. I'm going to clear formatting. So what that did, it got rid of all that mess. There was all that gray stuff in there. So I want to get rid of all that formatting. Oops, I did Control Z one too many times. So Control Z is one of my favorite shortcuts. It undoes your last step. Okay, so I'm going to go to clear formatting here. And now I've got a nice clean slate and ready to start formatting this to look the way that I want. All right, so I do always want Times New Roman and 12-point font. I may need to come up here and double check my font. I do. I need to change my top font, which we can do in a minute. So let me go ahead and finish what I'm doing here first. Next, I'm going to go to format, and I'm going to go to line spacing, and I'm going to go to double. So in Word, you can oftentimes indicate in the line spacing sometimes this add space before paragraph or add space after is defaulted, and you need to get rid of it. It doesn't help anybody. I don't think that this prevent single lines does anything. I clicked it and it didn't seem to do anything previously, so I'm going to pass on that. Okay, now I need to go through and italicize the title of my journal. All right, because I know that it's a journal article because it says journal. And I also need to italicize the title of the database. The DOI is included, which is great. Oftentimes it's hyperlinked and I don't want it to be hyperlinked. Okay, so before I start typing, my summary of the article goes here. And then my, here, I'm just do a little more extra text here. So blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then my analysis goes in here. Obviously, you're going to do a much better job at typing a summary and analysis than I am. And finally, your reflection is going to go here. My typing teacher would be so proud. All right, so now let's do some extra formatting. So I'm going to refer back to my MLA Annotated Bibliography sample, and I want to check something here. And I see, I wanted to make sure if there were extra spaces between the title and the body. So, and I did that up here too, great. So there is nothing wrong with double checking your MLA handbook or the MLA website, Purdue OWL. I provide examples throughout the assignment, especially in the Canvas shell, that you are always welcome to refer back to. You can always ask a friend as well. And I made the pitch that making a tutoring appointment and submitting your an example of just even one or two of your annotated bibliographies to a tutor and working with a tutor is so enlightening. It's so enlightening. Sitting and working over a Zoom session, you have to schedule beforehand, is a very satisfying activity. You get to meet an expert student, talk about your struggles with this class. They'll say, I had to write an annotated bibliography for my political science class, and this is what I struggled with, and this is where they marked me off. Maybe you should think about doing this. But anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and apply a hanging indent now. So a hanging indent, I want to go up to Insert or Format. Let's see, I'm looking for my align indent. There's a lot of really nifty ways to do a hanging indent. Control T is my favorite, but it only works in Word. So let's see, do I get to do it here? Okay. So let's see. Let's see if I can do it here. I'm going to right click with my mouse and see what they give me. I can link, comment, paste, cut, suggest. How about this? How about I go to help and type in hanging indent. indentation options. Okay, great. Hanging, apply. All right. Now, the next trick, I'm going to come here and highlight my entire annotation, the summary, analysis, and reflection portion, and then I'm going to push it all over by increasing the indentation so that the only thing that is tight against the 1-inch margin is the title of the author. Okay, great. Lastly, I'm going to make sure that I change my font to 12 point. And to Times New Roman. Okay. So that's it. That's how I'm going to get started. I'm going to put this at the center. I think I undid it when I was trying to format. This is generally how I would like you to write your annotated bibliography. Obviously, you'll apply much more reflective text here than me. But don't forget to think about analyzing, using those transitional verbs and descriptive vocabulary in full sentences with proper punctuation, and think about meeting with either a tutor or a librarian. Many of my librarian colleagues, what we do is we have a chat service. And so one of us is always on chat is what I'm trying to say. You can come here and go to the live chat and say, I am having a tough time locating a newspaper article about sustainable farming and climate change. All right, and then you submit it, and that librarian will happily chat with you and give you all sorts of tips and tricks and resources. Also, I'm always here. So don't forget to talk to me. I will be conversing with you when I receive your research statement, your topic statements, and making suggestions about what you should zero in on for your annotated bibliography and answering any questions. All right, so that's it for this mini lecture, and I look forward to working with you, more knowledge creators. Thanks.